Hey there, it's Mr. Leatherwood all by myself this week. And this week we're learning to divide, which is one of my favorite things to do. And we're using one of my favorite methods today, dividing using Big 7. And I love dividing this way. I used to divide the old stinky way or the algorithm way, the way your parents were taught and the way that I was taught. But then I started teaching this a few years ago, and I think it's become my favorite way to do it. So we're going to show you how to do it. I say we, I mean me. Let's see. Let's start 345 divided by, start off easy or hard? The question is, how about 15? Okay, so we're going to do 345 divided by 15. So that's going to be our example here. So I'm going to write it over here. 345 divided by 15. And here's why they call it Big 7. Because instead of just writing the division symbol right here, we're going to go all the way down. So watch this. Like a Big 7. So it kind of looks like a 7. It also looks like a hangman thing when you play hangman when you were a kid. But Big 7. Okay, so when we do Big 7, we're going to use our multiples to help us out. And we talked about multiples before. It's kind of like skip counting. And so I'm going to make a little list of my multiples for 15. Okay? I'm going to do 15 times 1, which is 15. And I'm going to do 15 times 2, which is 30. And I'm going to do 15 times 3, which is 45. And I'm not going to go on forever. I usually do the first 3. This is how I do it. And then I'll go ahead and I do 15 times 10 also. So if this was times 1, times 2, and times 3, I'm going to do 15 times 10, times 20, and times 30. The reason I do that is because we know it's pretty easy to get those because we end up just adding the 0. So for instance, 15 times 10 is 150. 15 times 20 is going to be 300 because I just took my 30 right here and I added a 0. So that makes it somewhat easy. And then for 15 times 30 is going to be 450. I didn't need to go that high, but I went ahead and did it just because. Okay, you're like, okay, that seemed like a lot of work. Why do I have to do that? And I'll show you, because it makes your division really easy. So for instance, when I'm looking at 15, how many times does 15 go into 345? I don't want to do 15 at a time. I want to look for the thing that's highest and closest to 345. So for instance, for me, 300 is going to be really close to 345. And look how easy this gets. I'm going to put my 300 here. I'm going to draw a line. And we know we're going to subtract here. But my line out here is going to hold what I multiplied by. So for instance, 15 times 20 gave me 300. Okay, but I'm not quite done. I still need to subtract, so I'm going to subtract, and it looks like I have 45 left over. And then it gets really easy because look over here. We know that 3 times 15 is 45. So I'm just going to put my 45 down here. Line comes way out. And again, it was 3 times 15, so I'm going to put my 3 out here. And luckily, I don't have a remainder. How nice is that? I didn't even know that when I did this. So then the way we figure out our answer, we're like, okay, these out here, that must be my answer. So 345 divided by 15 is going to equal 23. And that's it. See how easy that was using multiples? And I like the Big 7. The reason I really like the 7 is because it organizes everything out here really easy. So I'm going to show you one more time. Or one more. So let me delete everything. Alright, so I've deleted everything. Let's do another one. Let's say, oh, I don't know. I'm just going to make one up. Let's do green this time. 432. We're going to divide it and make my Big 7. Whee! Let's divide it by, how about 30? Let's pick a random one. So 30. So real quick, so my first step, Some of you don't have to do this, but I think it's a good step to do. I think it really helps from messing up. So I'm going to go ahead and do my little multiples. So I'm going to do 30 times 1, 30 times 2, 30 times 3. Then I'm going to do 30 times 10, which is 300. And you'll notice 30 times 20 right here would be 600. Well, I'm only going to 432, so I can stop. I don't need to do extra work. So I'm going to just stop right here because that's going to be my biggest one. So let's start there. So I'm going to do 300 again. I'm going to draw my line all the way across. And the reason I do that is it just organizes my answer really well. So I did 30 times 10 to get 300, so I'm going to put that over here. Then I'm going to subtract to see what's left over. And I get 132. So then I look over here again, and I say, well, 300 is too big, so I'm done with that. 90 is the closest I could get. So I'm going to do my 90. And if you knew a fact that was closer to 132, you could definitely use it, but I like to use my multiples over here that I already made. It just makes it easier. Sometimes I get really good and throw mental math in there and do it that way, but this is fine. So 90 was 30 times 3, so I'm going to put the 3 over here. And then I'm going to subtract again to see how much we have left over. What is that? 4, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Yep, 4. I use my fingers. Don't be afraid of fingers. Then I have 42 left, so I'm going to look back over here. 60 is too big, so I'm going to do just one more group of 30. I'm going to draw a big line to organize my thoughts. And that was 1 times 30, so I'm going to put a 1 over here. And it looks like I'm going to have 12 left over. So this one does have a remainder, which is good because I wanted to show you that. So this is going to be my answer. So 10 plus 3 plus 1. Most of you can do that in your head. That's going to be 14. And then here, my leftovers is going to be my remainder. So my remainder would be 12. And later on, we'll learn how to turn that into a fraction and do all kinds of stuff with it. But for right now, we have 14, remainder 12. So those are your 2 examples for your notes. Now, let's do one for you to practice, or maybe a couple for you to practice, and see how you do. All right, so I gave you 3 examples. 452 divided by 24, 386 divided by 31, and 263 divided by 19. Try using Big 7 and see how you do. And yeah, I think you'll do amazing. I'm very optimistic about this. All right, good luck, and I will see you in class tomorrow. Bye now.